This was a fabulous panel. I'm glad that we were recording it. I just want to note that in about half an hour, everybody will be in a breakout room and we'll be having a chance to reflect on our panelists' comments. We are also diligently taking notes, and we will be taking all of these thoughts forward through the Diversity Committee and into the College of Education. Speaking of
Dr.
which,
Hamer?
yes.
Doctor, can I make one notion?
Absolutely.
That, for the educators listening, again, thank you to Judith Erb. She is on this call. Understand her name on the Department of Education more than just symbolic. She is present in all committees. She is present in all endeavors. She is a true advocate of education. And she showed that more than just financial. She showed that in presence and being at all things to make sure that we're all supported. So if you have yet to meet her or engage with her, I would recommend and advise you. I've done so myself, and it's always been delightful, but I can't say enough in regards to the work that she's done and paved the way here in the city of Toledo. Again, what makes us UT proud, TPS proud, and Perrysburg proud. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And with that, I can join the legions of people who can say, Dr. Durant said exactly what I was about to say, and he said it so much better. But Ms. Herb, it is just an honor to have you with us, and we are so grateful for your leadership, as Dr. Durant said. So thank you both. I want to do a shout out to Josh Spielis, who will be in a few moments magically putting us into our breakout rooms, and then he will get us back from our breakout rooms without splinching any of us. We are blessed. We give a shout out to Josh every time we meet here in the Judith Herb, and thank you for your leadership in technology. I'm going to ask my beloved co-chair, Dr. Aguiton, if you would please put up our PowerPoint for today to take us forward, and my beloved colleague, Diversity Committee member, Dr. Natasha Johnson is going to take over at this time and give us an overview of the breakout rooms, which will start with our flash rounds and then go into conversation. I want to assure everyone that we as the Diversity Committee decided yesterday, if we run behind time, we're still going to give everybody all of their time. We are exactly 15 minutes behind, which in my book is a win. So I would say we're on time and we will go forward. We'll be ending about 12:15 today. Okay, Dr. Johnson.
Good morning. I'm so excited to introduce this next session. I was driving here this morning. I woke my daughter up to tell her I was leaving. And it's always hard when you have young children and you work a lot. And I work all the time. That's what my daughter told me. And it's annoying, apparently, to a 12-year-old. But as I sit here, my heart is so full because I've been reminded through last night's session and this morning's session why I do the work that I do. I was in meetings all day yesterday, and then I had a long conversation with Rhonda, with Dr. Aguiton after last night's session. And we were joking, but I said my first job out of college, I worked at a nuclear power plant. And that's probably not something that a lot of people know about me, but I left my background in engineering because I didn't find the work that I was doing fulfilling. And I can say that, you know, as this is my 20th year in education, I'll never regret the decision that I made to transition into education. I'm going to share, I'm a qualitative researcher. So at, my core, I want to tell stories. So I'm just going to share a few things from my week. And I think it was Wednesday. I had just been kind of in a funk. I wasn't being real productive. Decided I was going to watch TV. And I stumbled upon this show, and it was called The First 48. And I'd never seen this show before, but it chronicles crime investigations. And I think what caught my eye was that it was filmed in Atlanta, which is where I taught. As I watched this story unfold, I was shaken when I realized that the subject of the investigation was a former student of mine. I taught him in 2009, and he was charged with a homicide and sentenced to life in prison. And I think for the next several hours and through the week, I kept imagining the student. And I felt very strongly that as a teacher, I failed him. The school failed him. The district failed him. The community failed him. And that's an extreme case because, we have a lot of students who may not reach their full potential, but they don't, fall into that sort of circumstance. But I was really haunted as I thought about him as a freshman and how innocent he was and how playful he was. And just, I couldn't help, as an educator, I couldn't help but think, what else could I have done to support this student? And I'm going to share another kind of extreme situation because Amira Archer got an email from me at 11 o'clock. And I was emailing students because I'm recruiting for a program called Project Seed. Project Seed is a research program that places economically disadvantaged students in chemistry labs. It's a paid summer internship. And we have 3 slots left in the University of Toledo program. And I was emailing students who started applications but didn't finish. And I was thinking, because I sent a link, and it was a link highlighting Dr. Kizmikia Corbett, Dr. Kizzy, who's a COVID-19 researcher that helped develop the COVID vaccines. And she credited her work as a scientist to her start in Project Seed. So as I sat there at 11 o'clock, emailing students and emailing Ms. Archer, it was so important to me that those 3 slots were filled, because I feel like that is my work, to make sure that students have an opportunity and that they reach their potential. So the title and the focus of this symposium has been cultural competence as an ongoing project, learning from our communities, our students, and ourselves. So as we prepare for the next session, I really charge you to think about what your next steps are. Yesterday, it was Rahway. He said we have a sacred obligation to seek and teach the truth. And I would add to that, that we want to continue this work and continue these conversations. I will hold my colleagues, to make sure that I'm accountable, that I want to reach out to Fadi, because I recognize that religious diversity in those conversations is something that I want to improve on in my own classes. So that is, my next steps. So as we enter the cultural competence flash rounds, you're going to have an opportunity to learn from the College of Education students, faculty, as well as some other administrators about what they're doing in their own classrooms to make their work more culturally competent. You will be placed in a breakout room through the magic of WebEx and Joshua, and you will listen to 5-minute presentations about the work that people are doing in their classrooms. All of the sessions are listed on the website. So if you are placed in a breakout room and you wanted to hear another topic, we strongly encourage you to reach out to that speaker. Continue this dialogue and make sure that you have an opportunity to learn about the work that they're doing and the resources that they shared today. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else, so I hope that you will enjoy the sessions. I'm not sure on the timing. I think we're going to go for about 45 minutes, but you'll spend half of the time listening to the presentations, and then the other half will be discussion time. And the sessions will be moderated by Suzanne Garza, Aaron Baker, Colleen Fitzpatrick, and Gina Collier. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the session and the symposium as much as I'm enjoying it.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. And I will just mention that the second half, you'll be going into these reflection breakout rooms. You'll actually be staying physically or virtually in the same room, but your moderator will shift you over to talking about the opportunities that we have in the Judith Herb College of Education and what are threats and weaknesses to our college's cultural competence that we need to address with a sense of urgency. This is Lynn, and as we come back, if people didn't have a chance to share in the breakout rooms because our schedule was tight, I think you all have my email, so if you will email your comments to me, I'll make sure that they get into the record. Somebody else on the committee is in charge now, though.
Yes, we'll collect all the ideas and reports from everyone and compile it, and hopefully we will post on our website and share with everyone. So now we hand over to Dr. Dale Snout. He will wrap up our session and share share some of his ideas with everyone. And then Dr. Snout will then hand over the baton to Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, everyone. very rich discussions in the breakout groups and throughout last night and today. Really appreciate all the thoughtful insight that has been expressed by the panels and by the participants. I think there are many. What was striking to me throughout the symposium was that it relates to the complexity of cultural competence and the complexity of human beings and how to and including the existence of multiple identities that in order to respond in a culturally competent way, we have to take into consideration the multiple identities of persons. And so that that strikes me as a fundamental finding from the from the sessions. Also, the complex need for both understanding of culture and the culture of our students, and coupled with complex understanding of the social environments that they're situated in, suggests that the fundamental importance of knowing our students in a deep way, and that suggests a student-centered pedagogical approach, that we base our social relations and our interaction with our students, uh, we base that on who they are and their interests. And that seems to be as the only bridge uh, to competently responding to their multiple identities. And not only understanding, but we have to develop self-awareness, critical self-awareness of our own bias that we all hold. Uh, we all have in-group bias and out-group hostility. It's how we are wired as human beings, given our evolution in groups. But we can transcend those biases and in-group biases and out-group hostilities through not through self-awareness, reflection on our own presuppositions, but also reflection on understanding our those who we are attempting to relate to, and that that suggests that we need to cultivate both our internal dispositions, but also to cultivate a culture within our college, within our schools, within the larger society, a culture of equality and respect, which would include a fundamental right to cultural recognition of each person. Uh, I believe that this suggests that it's the social climate of our classrooms, of our colleges, of our schools that is a critical component. How do we develop a culture of respect grounded in respectful social relations? So those are some of my brief thoughts from from the sessions. There's much more, I think, to unpack from these 2 days, and I just want to say I really appreciated uh, all of the panelists and all of the thoughtful comments and presentations uh, in the flash rounds. So thank you very much to all. Really meaningful.
All right. So we are coming to the very end of our 2 day session. It has been fantastic. It has been an exciting 2 day event. And we've learned so much about cultural competence from so many different perspectives. And as you rightly point out, Dr. Snow, it is such a complex issue. And all the sessions, including the flash rounds, I think, has given us much to think about. how can we become more culturally competent, both as individuals and as a collective. I think that is important to consider as well. And there were several things that came up and during the presentations that were, I think, good learning moments for all of us. And I would like to thank, of course, all the panelists, the school superintendents, Dr. Durant and Hostler, principals Richburg and Stein-Miller, and Mr. Sean Nelson, and our esteemed teachers, Patrick Hall, Kathy Mayfield, and our very own Amira Archer. A lot of the things that all of you talked about, and you asked us to do, particularly the last question, what is it that you want us as a college to do? I thought there were a lot of lessons we learned. How can we make our pre-service teachers become more critical? How do we as faculty become more critical about our own curriculum? And how do we talk about the issues that impact our students' lives, our pre-service teachers who are working with us? How do we help them so that they can then become capable and capable of doing that on their own? And one of the things that Patrick Hill said is we talk a lot about democracy and social justice, and then creating resistance and being resilient and developing a competence to resist any injustices. But then he said we also need to tell them, help them understand what the fallout is. And I don't think we really talk about that in our classes. So it is important. And of course, how should we support our own students to become culturally competent? And I think one of the things that was said during our session, the very last statement, and I think it's important for all of us, how can professors become more intentional in being culturally competent? And I think we have to think about that, each of us as an individual, how can I be more culturally competent? And also, how can we make our classrooms and so on as a collective more culturally competent? So there's a lot more that I could go on, and I will stop there because everyone has said what all these things that we need to now think about. So thank you once again to all of you, to the panelists, to the participants, and to all the people on the committee who worked so hard to make this happen. And thanks to Dean Whitty and Ms. Judith Erb for making all these things a reality and making it possible for us to do this. Thank you. And one last thing, please complete the evaluations. You remember, you'll get a $15 gift certificate to Jira Heavenly Suites. And of course, your name will also be in the raffle drawing. So thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you all. It was great.